On a scorching summer day, 10-year-old Tommy made a decision that would change both his life and the life of a homeless man forever by simply buying him an ice cream. But what happened next will leave you speechless. It was one of those scorching summer afternoons in the city when the air felt thick with heat. The sun hung heavily in the sky, casting long shadows on the streets. The hustle and bustle of people going about their busy lives created a rhythm of movement. But among all the hurried steps and fast-paced lives, one figure stood still. A weathered man sat on the curb of a busy street, his clothes ragged and faded, his face etched with lines of hardship and sorrow. His eyes, though tired, held a quiet dignity. His hands rested on his knees, palms facing upwards as if he were hoping for something. Anything. Tommy, a 10-year-old boy, had just come out of the corner store with a small pocketful of change he'd earned from running errands for his mom. He had a plan for the money. He was going to buy himself an ice cream from the truck parked down the street. But as he walked by the old man, something in him paused. He had seen the man there many times before. Today, Tommy noticed the deep sadness in his eyes. The heat of the day seemed to weigh heavier on him than anyone else. Tommy hesitated for a moment, his young mind racing. He looked down at the few dollars in his pocket and then back at the man sitting there, a figure so still and silent amidst the clamor of the world. He felt a pull, a tug at his heart. He wanted to help. Not sure what to do, Tommy took a deep breath and approached the man. "Excuse me, sir," Tommy said, his voice soft but earnest. The old man looked up, his eyes squinting against the sunlight as they met Tommy's. "Would you like some ice cream?" Tommy asked, offering the man a warm smile. The man blinked as though not fully understanding at first. Then slowly his face softened, and for the first time that day, a glimmer of hope sparked in his eyes. "I haven't had one in years, son," the man said, his voice gravelly but filled with gratitude. "That's very kind of you." Tommy felt a warm feeling wash over him. It wasn't much, but he knew that offering something so simple, like ice cream, could mean the world to someone in a moment of need. Without a second thought, Tommy ran across the street to the ice cream truck, his heart racing with excitement. He bought 2 cones, one for himself and one for the man. As he paid for the cones, he couldn't help but smile, thinking of how he was making someone else's day just a little bit better. When Tommy returned, he held out one of the cones to the old man, who reached out to accept it with trembling hands. Their eyes met again, but this time there was no sadness in the man's eyes. Instead, his weathered face lit up with a broad smile, something Tommy hadn't seen in all the times he'd walked past him before. The man took a slow lick of the ice cream, savoring the cold sweetness, as if it were the finest treat he had ever had. "You've got a kind heart," the man said after a moment, his voice filled with appreciation. "I used to be just like you. Young, full of dreams, with the whole world ahead of me. Life, though, it takes everything away." Tommy felt a lump form in his throat. He didn't know what to say. Instead, he sat down beside the man, giving him space to share his story. "I had a family once," the man continued. "I had a job, a nice home, and a talent. I was an artist. I used to paint. People would pay me to create beautiful things. I thought I had it all. But then, life started slipping away. First, my wife left me, then the money ran out. One day, I couldn't pay my bills. I lost everything, my house, my work, my friends. One by one, things just slipped through my fingers until I was left with nothing but the streets." Tommy listened quietly, his heart aching for the man. He had never really thought about how fragile life could be. In his young mind, people who lived on the streets were just part of the world, and he never questioned it. But hearing the man's story, he realized how quickly everything could change, how someone's life could be turned upside down in an instant. For a long time, the two sat there in silence, enjoying the ice cream. Tommy's thoughts swirled around in his mind, but he didn't know how to put them into words. It was a simple act of kindness, buying an ice cream for a homeless man, but it had opened up something deeper. He felt like he was a part of something more important than just his own little world. As the afternoon wore on, Tommy said goodbye to the man and promised to come back soon. The man thanked him again, but Tommy couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed within him. He walked home slowly, his mind buzzing with thoughts about dreams, hardships, and the people whose stories he had never known. The next few days passed quietly, and Tommy went on with his usual routine. But there was something different in the way he saw the world. He had learned in the briefest of moments that kindness mattered, that the smallest gestures could make the biggest differences in someone's life. And he couldn't forget the man's words, how life could take everything away in the blink of an eye. Then, one afternoon, as Tommy returned home from school, he noticed something unusual. At first, he thought he was imagining things, but when he walked closer to his front door, he saw a large, wrapped package sitting on the doorstep. His heart skipped a beat as he bent down to pick it up. There, inside the package, was a beautiful painting. It was a landscape, a sprawling scene of a golden sunset over a vast field, with the light dancing across the horizon. The brushstrokes were bold, yet delicate, capturing the beauty of the world in a way Tommy had never seen before. He didn't need to read the note that came with the painting. The message was clear. It was from the old man. Tommy felt his chest tighten as he stood there, holding the painting in his hands. It wasn't just a painting. It was a piece of the man's soul, a thank you for the kindness Tommy had shown him. Tommy hadn't expected anything in return, but here it was, a gift beyond anything he could have imagined. Over the next few weeks, Tommy would stop by the corner where the man used to sit. He didn't see him there anymore, and while that made him sad, he also felt grateful for the encounter they had shared. The man had given him more than just a story. He had reminded Tommy of the power of kindness, the importance of seeing people for who they really were, not just for what they had or didn't have. Tommy realized that the painting wasn't just about the act of kindness. It was a symbol of how small moments, small gestures, could make an enormous difference in the world. It was about showing love, compassion, and understanding to others, especially to those who might need it the most. And so Tommy hung the painting in his room. Every time he looked at it, he was reminded of that simple act of kindness, and of the old man who had once been just like him, full of dreams and potential, before life had taken everything away. Sometimes the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. A simple act of kindness can change someone's day, or even their life. In a world that can often feel divided and disconnected, it's the moments of human connection, of reaching out and offering something as simple as a smile or a kind word, that can make all the difference. We never know what someone else might be going through, but we have the power to offer them hope, to remind them that they are seen and that they matter. So, be kind. You never know how your actions might touch someone's heart and change their world forever. Feel the power of kindness through stories on Storytime with Harry.